Ali, Bilal, and Samir, fresh from exams, decided to celebrate. They chose an abandoned farmhouse far outside their village. This place was known for strange stories, a place most people avoided. Its eerie reputation only fueled their curiosity. Upon arrival, a black dog stood silently at the broken gate. Its fur was unnaturally dark, its eyes glowing faintly red. Bilal laughed it off, calling it a stray. But Samir felt uneasy. The dog didn't move, didn't bark, didn't even seem to breathe. Ali tried to feed it a biscuit, but the dog ignored the food. Instead, it stared directly at Samir, disturbingly human. Shaking off the feeling, the three friends entered the farmhouse. Dust filled the air, a rotten smell clung to cracked walls. They set up in the main hall, joking to hide their discomfort. But the atmosphere grew heavier as night fell. Around midnight, their small fire suddenly died, though there was no wind. A scratching sound began at the door, slow, deep, and deliberate, like claws dragging across wood. When Bilal opened the door, the sound stopped instantly. The dog was gone. But deep scratch marks remained on the floor, far too large and violent for any normal animal. As the night grew darker, Samir couldn't sleep. He felt watched, his chest tightening with fear. He looked toward the broken window and saw the black dog standing inside the room, silent and still, its glowing eyes fixed on him. Frozen in terror, he tried to wake his friends, but they wouldn't respond. The dog began to move closer, step by slow step, until Samir shut his eyes and whispered prayers under his breath. When he finally opened them again, the dog had vanished. Morning brought no relief. Outside, their car tires were completely shredded, torn apart as if by sharp claws. Panic began to set in. Before they could decide, an old villager approached, warning them about the place. He told them a chilling story. A cruel man lived there with his 3 sons, ruling his home with fear. One night, the sons tried to escape, but something terrible happened. By morning, the house was covered in blood. The father was dead, the sons vanished. In the corner sat a black dog, covered in blood, watching silently. Since that day, the old man said, the dog was no ordinary animal. It was a watcher, a judge, deciding who would leave and who would stay forever. The story shook them to their core. What terrified them more was the realization. There were 3 of them, just like the 3 sons. Slowly, they turned back toward the farmhouse. There stood the black dog again, unmoving. But now it was not alone. Behind it, faint shadowy figures shifted and twitched, as if something human yet broken was trying to emerge from the darkness. Samir felt his heart sink. He whispered for them to run, but Ali didn't move. Instead, he stared at his hands. Dark veins began spreading across his skin, his expression changing into something distant and unnatural. He admitted he had seen something during the night, that the dog had shown him the truth. The sons had not simply tried to escape, but had killed their father. Something else had come afterward, something that did not allow them to leave. As he spoke, the ground trembled slightly. A deep growl echoed from every direction at once. The shadows behind the dog became clearer, revealing 3 twisted figures with hollow faces and frozen expressions of terror, trapped between life and death. Then the dog stepped forward. Though its mouth did not move, a voice filled their minds, cold and inhuman, declaring that 3 had come before and 3 must remain. Panic took over. Samir grabbed Bilal and tried to run, but the path they had come from was gone. The trees seemed to close in around them, the sky darkened unnaturally. No matter which direction they turned, they faced the farmhouse again. Ali remained still, accepting his fate, whispering that the dog had chosen him because he had seen the truth. Bilal began to panic, backing away in denial. Suddenly he collapsed to the ground, screaming, as if something invisible was attacking him. His body dragged across the dirt toward the house. Claw marks appeared beneath him as he desperately tried to resist. Samir tried to pull him back, but the unseen force was too strong. Within seconds, Bilal was pulled into the darkness and vanished. Now only Samir remained, trembling and alone, while Ali stood motionless, no longer fully human. The black dog turned its glowing eyes toward Samir. Once again, the voice echoed inside his mind, telling him that one must remain. Tears filled his eyes as he whispered in desperation, asking why. But there was no answer, only the crushing weight of silence and the feeling of something ancient and merciless watching him. The world around him seemed to collapse into darkness, swallowing everything in an instant. Days later, villagers approached the farmhouse. They found it exactly as it had always been, silent, abandoned, untouched by time. But at the entrance sat the black dog once again, perfectly still, its red eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. And behind it, barely visible yet undeniably present, stood three shadowy figures, unmoving and watchful, as if waiting patiently for the next visitors who would unknowingly walk into their fate.